We made it to Thursday. Hello, how is everybody? Dell is going to be on here in just a minute. He's having some internet issues. I apologize for that, but we will figure it out. How are we? Lots of people already here. Hope everybody's had a decent week. And if you think about it, send some nice warm thoughts to my friend John Peters here, who had his brand new car broke into yesterday. John, I'm sorry you're facing that. I still can't believe that happened already. It's ridiculous. And for how little time your car is vulnerable, it's especially frustrating. I hope that we get that fixed quickly for you. Everybody that's here in the chat, you all are amazing. Please hang out tonight. We are going to have a much longer show than I had anticipated. Obviously, we had heard rumors about some of these Cameron titles coming to 4K, but for everything to explode in one day yesterday was a lot. And then out of nowhere today, we had like all of the announcements ever. It seemed like I spent hours in a row just posting announcements for everybody and getting everything figured out. We have a new label to cover again this week. We have new 4Ks that are exciting. We have brand new remasters that are probably going to be struck with DNR like crazy. But we're going to go into all of it with as much detail as we possibly can. I can't wait. But while we're waiting on Dell, I think one of the things that we can do is probably check in on some pickups and recent watches before we get him in. And one of the things, I don't think Dell is super into Severin. So I'm going to cover a couple of these. What's going on, Tony, and everybody else out there? One thing from Severin that kind of blew my mind this week, I got in maybe the highest quality like a physical extra from a package ever. This Joe Spinell plush doll from Severin is ginormous. First of all, I mean, I'm a giant and it's bigger than my head, but the detail, the hair that you can move around, the high quality clothes with this. I love Joe Spinell, but I am shocked that this is this nice. I know a lot of people are not happy with prices from Severin, which I agree they've been overpriced, but this thing was worth every damn penny, and I am shocked at how nice this is. I hope if you were into this, you got this, but just wanted to say if you are ever even sort of intrigued by some of the stuff that they put out that's like this, check it out, because this thing is astonishingly high quality. The next thing that I wanted to highlight, Severin always delivers quality, definitely. It is huge, definitely huge. Craig says, the Incredible Shrinking Man disc arrived today. Thanks to last week's show. Hope you enjoy that. Dustin, what's going on? One thing I wanted to highlight, because we talked about this on the show a few weeks ago, and it's already here. Well, now, first, before I do that, let's bring on Dell. What's going on, Dell?
What's up, man?
How's the internet, huh?
It's struggle tonight, but I think we got it whooped, so I'm here.
I am talking about some pickups, but before I finish, why don't we talk about you, man? How is everything?
Everything's going pretty good. Getting ready for the holidays and trying not to spend too much more money, so I'm good.
It's a tough year for that, man.
Yeah, definitely, most definitely.
Well, it's the first time on the show, so I mean, to introduce yourself, what do you do on your YouTube channel? Why don't you tell everybody about it?
On my channel, I like to say first that I'm more about movies than about collecting. I do hauls and things like that, but I'm really more focused on the movies themselves. Movie swap is kind of the big thing that I've kind of been known for in this community, where I have a guest on and we'll each show each other a movie that the other person has never seen before, and then we'll discuss that movie over the course of an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours if we go long, but we have a good time doing that. And I also have Movie Theater Memories is a series I just started, where I just basically recount some memories from my past of going to the movie theater, and some interesting experiences I've had with those movies in those times. And then, of course, there's all the other videos. I got some top 10s. I've got some recommendation videos and so on and so forth.
To recommend, I will say everybody should absolutely be checking out Dell's channel. The movie swap conversations are incredible. I feel bad because I don't typically leave a comment when it's not live, and a lot of the times when you're live, I'm live with other things, so I get stuck watching the replay
Right.
during work the next day. And I just have to say, listening to you and always great guests, but listening to the voices going back on two brand new films to those people, it's the exact type of content I love because it's not always. First off, it's not always super in praise of the film. It's just good, high quality
No.
discussion on what people have done before. But it's
Yeah.
just love film.
Yeah. It's, hey, you seen this movie before? No. Then well, if I watch this one, you got to watch that one, and then we just talk
Exactly.
about it. That's all it is. And sometimes
That's
you love them, sometimes you don't.
that's the foundation of a perfect conversation. That's like 90% of what I want my life to be.
If it could be so easy, right?
Exactly. So, anyways, this is the first time that we've been on a stream at all together. So, I wanted to be able to say thank you for the first time for everything that you do, man. The channel has been a close friend as I work for many hours of my life, and you are incredible at what you do.
Oh, the feeling is absolutely mutual. And it's weird hearing compliments, so I don't take them always very well, but definitely the feeling's mutual. And like you said, we're on live a lot at the same time, so I'm coming back and catching replays. And I'm the
Yeah.
same way. When it's not live, I don't typically leave a comment, but definitely catch the show. Definitely love the content, you guys. You always great guests yourself, so I
Yeah,
really enjoy those conversations.
I don't do great with compliments either, so I try to always throw it back at you more. So what have you been watching lately? Can you hang out and tell everybody what you've been seeing lately?
I have been, of course, like spooky season just ended, so I was watching a lot of spooky season, and we was talking about movie swap last night. Was bad movie swap, which we purposely, Derek and I from the convicted cinephile, we purposely picked movies that were bad, but hopefully on that so bad they're good scale. And he had me watch Mac and Me for the first time, and I had him watch a movie called The FP. A lot of people have never heard of The FP. Let me just say the Dance Dance Revolution is like a life or death game in this world. So it was a lot of fun talking about that. And I've gone to the theater recently. I went and saw the Marvels, and I think I like it more than most people. I don't love it, but I had a lot of fun with it. And
Nice.
it's getting a lot of hate. I don't quite understand why it's getting so much hate. Well, I mean, I understand, but then I don't.
I have a feeling that a lot of it is literally just misguided misogyny.
Yes, yeah, that's why I said I get it, but I don't. It's a lot of that and preconceived notions because people, they hated the Miss Marvel show,
Yep.
so they came in, with that on them, and then they hated Captain Marvel, the movie, so they came in with that on them, and it was like, oh, I'm gonna hate it, but I'm gonna watch it because it's Marvel. It's like if,
Yeah.
if it's that bad, just don't go. You're not obligated to go see these movies.
Not to mention, it seems like most people that are going into it with an open mind or aren't misogynistic at heart are just saying it's a super fun movie. It's not like
Yeah,
a plot heavy Bergman film or anything, but it's if you're going to go there just to have a good time, it's going to be a good time.
yeah. I think I went away for a second, but it's
You
it's
did.
just fun. Yeah, it's a fun movie to watch. Like you said, it's not Bergman. It's not Truffaut. It's not gonna change your
Right.
life, but it's gonna pass 2 hours pretty quickly.
Which that's almost better than what the whole recent phase of the MCU that's what they were shooting for, and a lot of them missed that in my opinion. So
Yeah, they did, and I mentioned the runtime a bit. That's another problem I'm seeing with the MCUs now. They're stretching all these movies to like 2.5 hours.
yeah,
And I'm a big proponent of if your story doesn't warrant 2.5 hours, don't make your movie 2.5 hours. Make your story fit the runtime, or make your runtime fit the story, but it shouldn't be it shouldn't be lagging in your story, no matter how long or short it is. Roger Ebert's somebody I read a lot of over the years, and one of his big quotes is, "No good movie is ever too short, and no bad movie is ever too long."
yeah.
It's like, and that's where the MCU is really kind of getting into trouble, because they figure, well, we got to get you in there for 2.5 hours because you spent X amount of dollars to get there. Like, yeah, you don't have to. Just make the story work for the movie, that you're making. And that was a good plus side for Miss Marvel, was 2 hours was about perfect. I mean, you could probably still have shaved a couple minutes off of it, but we didn't go another 30, 40 minutes.
Right. The old I think it was the definition of cinema or something like that, of this movie has nothing that you can add to it to make it a better movie, but also you can't take anything away and make it a better movie. So I think there's plenty of these recent Marvel films that you could have taken. I mean, not exaggerating here, like full 20-minute chunks, not just scenes, but like entire chunks, and it wouldn't change the story at all.
Oh, I agree. And it's not just a Marvel thing either. It's just the movies are just getting longer and longer and longer, which is weird because we always hear about how attention spans are getting shorter. But
Yeah.
these movies just keep getting longer. I mean, even I haven't seen Killers of the Flower Moon yet, but even Scorsese's last movie before that, The Irishman, it's like I watched it and I'm like, this is just 3 hours of just Marty trying to be, show me his filmmaking ability,
Yeah.
but it's not. The story is not capturing me for 3 hours. This could have been a 2 hour movie, and then I would be like, oh man, this is another Marty banger. But now this is just kind of dragging on, and I'm watching on Netflix, and now I'm tempted to look at my phone and check my watch and do all those kinds of things. And sometimes we get a big filmmaker like Scorsese, it's like nobody wants to tell him no anyway, or nobody wants to, is really a good editor. Same thing with Tarantino. I think his movies are just getting too long for some reason, for no reason. And you don't have to, just fit it, make it good, fit it. You don't have to show me the thousands of different camera tricks, every time. So
Honestly, I'm still kind of shocked that the studios are willing to put these super long films in the theaters. You would think with how greedy they are about everything else, we
yeah,
don't charge more for longer films. If they made all 90-minute movies, they could get way more tickets out of the theaters every day.
yeah, because you get more show times, if
Right.
nothing else.
I'm excited for a 90-minute movie called Thanksgiving that is coming out this weekend. Dustin Putman, who donated, thank you so much for that, Dustin, says you're an 80-90 slashers fan. Run, don't walk to see Thanksgiving this weekend. So much fun. I'm eager to see it. Eli Roth and Thanksgiving. Are you interested in that at all?
I'm very interested in that, and Eli Roth is kind of hit or miss for me. But I saw the trailer a couple weeks back when I went to see something, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm in. I'm in. I'm there.
Yeah.
Just don't screw it up. That's all you got to do."
I was trying to think about this the other day because I was talking to Jeremy Long, who's been on the channel like 90 times. He went and got to see this super early from Beyond Fest in LA. He saw it like 3 weeks ago, loved it. And we were talking about Eli Roth, and I realized I think I've only ever seen Hostel and Cabin Fever. I've not seen his newest Goosebumps movie that he made. I've never seen The Green Inferno. So I feel like I'm missing a lot. He's produced a lot of stuff I've watched, but man,
Yeah,
I don't know. I've missed him somehow.
I've probably seen about six, maybe, and the two you mentioned I've seen, and Cabin in the Woods I really liked, and Hostel I really hated. So and that's kind of been consistent. It's like I like one, I hate one, I like one, I hate one. So we'll see how Thanksgiving goes.
Oh, Knock Knock. I always forget that he directed that. I also saw Knock Knock.
Yeah, I don't think I saw that one.
That was the Keanu Reeves and the two girls that try to come in and ruin his life for the night.
No, yeah, no, definitely haven't seen that one.
It's an interesting movie, but I wouldn't say it's great. Most people hated it. So you talk about films so much. Any recent pickups that you'd like to highlight? Anything that's been sticking out to you that you got on physical media recently?
Uh, just what Criterion's been doing for the last couple of years. Really kind of branching out and getting more diverse filmmakers in the collection. So, Cooley High was one I picked up. Hollywood Shuffle was one I picked up. I've had E2 Mama Time Beyond for quite a while, but that's a great movie.
Yeah.
So, and just, I really like when they diversify their collection. Nothing wrong with the stuff that was already there. So don't think like, oh, he just doesn't want white guys. No, that's not true. There's plenty of those movies that are great too. Because I
Right.
picked up Double Indemnity, which is a classic and one of my favorite movies of all time.
And extremely white.
Extremely white. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, they've been doing great with female filmmakers, with black filmmakers,
Mhm.
and just continuing to highlight up and coming too. Like the is it called The Nanny that just got released? Like that never would have got a release from Criterion 3 years ago.
Right. Right. They've been doing a lot of that, yeah, since about 3 years ago. Movies that are fairly recent just hitting the Criterion, and before that, you kind of think of them like Library of Congress almost, where a movie has to be like 25 years old for it gets even considered. But they've been changing up lately.
25 years old, or it had to be like a David Lynch joint, or
Yeah,
uh the brand new one that was going to be off the wall zany, like Fantastic Mr. Fox type. uh
right.
Gosh, yeah, they were all about the old stuff, and there's a lot of great new films too.
Yeah, Thelma Louise was, even though that's not new, but that was also a great pickup I had recently. And of course, this Arrow box set here a few weeks back,
Nice.
the Shaw Scope Volume 2, because I'm a big martial arts guy.
Have you checked out any of the Shout Factory ones yet?
I haven't. I keep seeing them, and they're it's a bit pricey for how many volumes there are.
It
I don't.
is, however, and I happen to I'm gonna see if I can do this without knocking a giant stack over. Um, I happen to have one next to me. It's a ton of movies. I mean, these things. Oh wait, this is the Brave Archer one. So this one's only 5, but this one was cheaper. But the other ones, they're like 11 movies or 13 movies.
Yeah,
So it's a lot to pick up.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, this is about to be bad if I mess this up.
Maybe when I get some more space in here, I might start going down that road with them.
But I mean, I get it though. If there's 11 or 13 in each one, and they've done 4 now, I think you got to be like a diehard Shaw Brothers or martial arts fan to really want to drop $130 for each of those.
For each of those. Yeah, yeah.
It's a lot, and
And
not to mention, most people don't want 100+ Shaw Brothers films on Blu-ray, even.
right, right. And I'm pretty diehard. I consider myself pretty diehard, but there's a point. There is a line, there's a limit, and I don't need all of them. And even these guys, I mean, they're pretty expensive. I wait till they go on sale. I get them
Yeah,
less than $100 for those. So
yeah, they've gone down. A couple of them have. Oh, there's only been 2, I guess, but I think the first one has gone down to like $60 at one point, even.
yeah, yeah. And the second one, like when it no MSRP on those is like 180, and then
Yeah.
they keep dropping it down, and then there's the 50% sale, 50% off sale. So that's when I get mine. So
The other thing I wanted to highlight that I brought up on the channel a couple weeks ago because it got announced and it was available to pre-order immediately. I guess not a pre-order if it's shipping then. But a little underground horror movie called Project Eerie. This is the same people that did the films The Fear Footage and the 2 sequels for that. And they always do something crazy with the packaging. And I just got this and I wanted to wait to show this on film for everybody. This is how they sent it in this beat up. It was in a box. This is meant to look beat up.
okay,
So this is not like it didn't come in the mail. This is like we found this footage and you need to actually discover it. So coming out, we got this little report here. And then on the inside, I don't think there's anything else. It came with the film, and it is a pretty nice release. Project Eerie in a black Blu-ray case. All the stuff on the back. When you open it up, you've got what looks like a shady little disc. And as you can see, and for those that don't know this, I wanted to highlight this again because it's a black back. You know that's a burned disc, not a pressed Blu-ray. It's not a bootleg or anything like that. They're not going to sell many copies, so they're only going to print as many as they sell. In the case, they also have this creepy looking picture of a white van that looks like a piece of evidence, essentially.
yeah, kidnapper van for sure.
Yeah, definitely. If you want free candy. And then the documents, these are fake intelligence documents that are here for you to look at as props for the film. And that's
That's
above
cool.
and beyond. Like this
Yeah.
is for a no-name company to do this, and this is like $20, $25, something like that.
Oh wow.
That's huge, and they do that for every single one of their releases. I love stuff like that.
Wow, that is cool. I've never heard of that movie or any of the other ones you mentioned, but that is a cool looking release though.
The first one, it kind of went viral. I hate using that phrase, but it was like, we're announcing this found footage film, and it's about this cop that goes to investigate a house and finds that there's weird stuff happening, and it came in an evidence bag. And that alone, people were like, "Oh, this is amazing!" And so they made a couple sequels to it, and now they're branching out doing some other stuff. So, just cool little indie horror.
Yeah.
Um, Dell and we were talking about a couple of ideas I want to talk about, and one of the things that came up is people that need to get out of their comfort zone with films. So tonight we're going to talk about 5 films that are good recommendations for people that are looking to break out of their comfort zone. I'd love to hear from you. How did you approach this? Like, what when you're thinking about this, is there a certain film watcher that you're thinking in your mind that you're going to be recommending to?
So I went with movies that I think are underseen, and I think the reason is because people get an idea of what they are beforehand and say, "Well, I'm not going to like that." So I see somebody put Requiem for a Dream up there. It's a great movie. Not one that I picked, but it is a great movie. But yeah, something that people will look at and say, well, you know what? I don't really think that's my thing. Maybe these movies are kind of out there. Maybe they're even one or a couple of them actually are bad movies. And my reason for the bad movies is I'm a firm believer in is to know what good movies are, you have to experience bad movies. And there are bad movies to enjoy. Yeah. And there are bad movies that are enjoyable on top of that, even though you know they're bad. So and the other part is kind of hard. It was kind of hard to approach for me also because I also believe that, you know, anything you're predisposed to not liking is out of your comfort zone, but that could be different for every person.
Yeah, similar thoughts here. And obviously I've said this probably about 14,000 times on this channel, but I do want to say again, every single film has been someone's favorite film. And so when you're looking at these, even the bad movies that are, I hate to say it like this, but even bad movies that are objectively bad, it's not
Yeah.
it's not a debate. They are genuinely bad movies. There are things that you can find enjoyable in those films, and not just enjoyable, but there are things that you can find and appreciate in those films, or you can find that inspired other movies to be better, or find where that filmmaker was inspired by some of your other favorite
Yeah,
filmmakers.
yeah. And I'm looking at a comment from Def Crocodile. He quoted, I forget who actually said that, but yeah, once you overcome the 1 inch tall barrier of subtitles, you'll be introduced to so many more amazing films. That is 100% true. Even though I didn't pick any foreign language films tonight, but that I wanted to make sure that got mentioned because that's just absolutely true.
I think that was a Bong Joon-ho quote around when Parasite won Best Picture, if I remember right. So tonight, I've got 3 of them with me, and then the other 2 are buried in my closet of shame that I have unfortunately not watched the other 2 in a while, and I definitely need to. You want to go first tonight? You want me to go first?
Sure. Do we want go back and forth or
Yeah, let's go back and forth. Let's do one and talk about each of them.
Sure. All right. So the first one is a movie I saw in the theater a couple years ago, and I had to get it. I loved it, and that movie is Sorry to Bother You.
Hey, Dell, guess what my first movie is?
Is it really? Great minds think
This
alike.
is such an uncomfortable movie.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I went to see it in theaters, and I knew right away that it wasn't going to do as well as I thought it should, or because one, I went to see it, and the theater was pretty empty. There were maybe 15 people in the theater.
Yeah.
As the movie was going on, people were walking out. And then at other points, even when with people who stayed, something would happen in the movie, and I'm like laughing this hysterically. I'm like really loud laughing, and I'm the only person laughing in the theater. And it's not to say that I'm smarter than anybody else or that I could get it. It just fit me
Yeah.
and not them. That's all. And yeah, it was definitely an uncomfortable movie. And I always say, tell people with this movie, there is one point where you're going to either buy in completely or you're going to say, no, this is not going to work for me, whether or not you finish watching it.
This movie. So I did not get to see this in theaters. It did not play anywhere around me, unfortunately. And when I finally got to see it at home, my wife and I started watching this, and I love surreal films. And this is
Very
uh, I
surreal.
I think a couple months ago when I talked about surreal films with Planet Mondo, I think I brought this one up then too. But this movie has so many certain scenes that happen, and you just question like, what the hell did I just see? As the next scene is playing, you're still wondering because
Right.
thoughts are going to be lingering from what you just saw. So you're kind of always a step behind this film,
Hmm.
which I think is a lot of reasons why some of those people probably walked out because it's not that they didn't get it, but the movie is kind of always a step ahead of you. So it's great. Um, this though, that night, my wife fell asleep watching this movie, and as as we're watching a movie that is taking place in a very business setting, accountants,
Yeah.
very office, a wonderful attire, people look very professional, and she wakes up to horses.
Yeah.
It's a very it's a very interesting thing to watch somebody react to that. This movie is incredible, and I almost feel like this movie came out a couple years too early, and not just because cinema goers would have been appreciative more, but I think people would have gone to the movie and actually seen it because
Mhm.
Lakeith Stanfield blew up after this movie.
True.
Um, Boots Riley directed the hell out of this movie,
He did.
and not only do I suggest people leave their comfort zone for the surrealist, for the what the fuckery that is happening in this, but one of the other things is this is and I'm genuinely, and I hate saying it like this because it's not very often I get other black YouTubers on here, but genuinely, this is a great modern black representation film to watch because
Yeah.
most people that are in this are going to be supporting this in a way that's underground. It's not the same old Spike Lee flick.
Right.
It's not a very obvious I'm gonna feel like white guilt removed from me type of black. This is just a story. This
Mhm.
is not told to be a black story, but it's a black story.
It is a black story, and you can pick those elements out of it if you want to. Those elements are there. I'm not going to deny that, but there's so much happening, so much going on. You can just get immersed in the story and just be wowed by where it's going to go next,
Yeah.
and just kind of sit with it and say, okay, let's see which alley we're gonna go down next. What dark corner are we gonna venture around?
And the corners get dark.
Yeah, the corners they get dark. They get dark, and it is a doozy. It is quite a doozy. I was looking. Caveman is in the chat. He was my guest on Movie Swap, and I had him watch. Him and his wife
Yeah.
watched. Sorry to bother you. So they actually enjoyed it. So I was glad for that. But yeah, it's a definitely a story, and it's one of those. I hate to bring up David Lynch because I'm not a David Lynch fan, but it's kind of that David Lynch kind of deal where you watch it the first time and you might sit there like, what did I just watch? What is this? And then you think about it a little bit and you go back to it again. We were talking about movies that where you kind of watch over and over, and you go
Yeah.
back to it another time, then you pick up on some more things. You're like, okay, this is starting to fall in place, and it's just one of those movies. I dug it from the first time, but I get it if people don't.
You know, it's great, and I feel like we are just right in line on this first title. I had a David Lynch title pulled. I was going to talk
Mm.
about Wild at Heart instead of this movie, and I went, just in case Dell doesn't bring up Sorry to Bother You, people need to hear more about that one. So I put David Lynch back because this, I feel like this is a much more out of your comfort zone type of movie because the folks that are watching David Lynch, that's already your comfort zone. That most people are not chasing down David Lynch to get out of their comfort zone.
Yeah.
They feel at home there.
Yeah, you go into a David Lynch movie knowing what you're getting. And with this, and it kind of goes back to it being a black movie. You don't get a lot of black movies that are this surreal.
Nope.
So you turn it on, you're kind of expecting one thing, and then it starts zigzagging, and you just kind of like, oh my god, what am I watching?
So in that line, we got a question from Dude McMahon here. I'd love to answer. Dude says, "Is it surreal in the way that Liquid Sky is surreal?" Have you seen Liquid Sky?
I haven't seen that one.
So what would be another surreal movie that you would say feels like the same surrealism as this one?
Oh, well, just to go back to Lynch, I mean, Mulholland Drive would be that kind of movie, um, where it's just a lot of things happening. Except I think the story's more coherent.
Oh, much.
Yeah, yeah. There's an actual story to it. Um, yeah, that would be the easy one to point to. Just if you took that kind of sensibilities and put it with a story that's cohesive, you kind of get Sorry to Bother You. Or even, you know what, even another one more people have seen might be Nope recently.
Yeah, I can see that a little bit. The one that I went to when I saw his question, and this might be a little bit of a stretch, but when you think about uh, Sibner, there's no Lynch bashing here. We both are the same. We love it. Come on. The one that came to my mind actually, and this is going to be weird if you've seen both of them, but think about how they're constructed. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Yes, I have seen that. Yes.
So a lot of that surrealism, it's the same way because like Boots Riley almost screws with the geography on you, and
Mhm.
you don't even know what room you're in some of these scenes because if they turn the camera around, suddenly you're outside.
Right. Right. And it's in a way that's not like we didn't have enough money and we have a bunch of errors to make movie. It's like purposely I'm doing
Yeah.
this to you.
Yeah. You are at his mercy while watching this film.
Yes.
Well, since we had the same first title, we'll just keep alternating and I'll just have
Yeah.
one less than you. My first one, this is going to be a very short pitch, but if you've never seen it, I wanted to capitalize on how many people saw Everything Everywhere All at Once. I know you enjoyed it. I
Mhm.
love that movie. Literally, probably a perfect film for me. But
Yeah.
if
Agreed.
that is the first thing you've ever seen from the Daniels, leave your comfort zone and watch Swiss Army Man. And if you've never seen it, it is somebody this is gonna be so weird to describe on this channel. Somebody stuck on a desert island and a dead body, a corpse washes up on the shore, and somebody carries this dead body around trying to find somewhere as the body is farting the entire time. And that's like all that you need to know about the plot.
Yeah.
And it's a weird as hell movie, but it's genuinely wholesome and compelling and fun and acted superbly by two incredibly silly dudes.
So I'm familiar with the movie, but I haven't seen it. I knew the plot of it, and I just hadn't gotten around to seeing it. Not that I don't want to. I do want to see it. I just haven't gotten to it yet. So yes, that is on my radar for sure.
Paul Dano, Daniel Radcliffe. It's fun. I could see people enjoying it once and then never watching it again.
Yeah, sounds like it, yes.
All right, what is your next one?
All right. So this between this movie and my next one, when I get to it, I'm also a believer that every once in a while, movies got to punch you in the gut. So this is a movie that's actually fairly popular. It just recently got a 4K release. So I know a lot of people have bought it. I don't know how many have actually seen it though. And that movie is Kids. This is just the DVD version of it. So Kids, it's obviously about these kids. They're teenagers. They're most of them in high school, though there are some scenes with some kids even younger, like 10, 11, 12 years old.
Yeah.
And they're left to their own devices a lot. And our main characters, there's one guy who takes pride in deflowering virgins, and there's his best friend, and that's what they do. They're just trying to have sex with as many girls as possible. Then there's Rosario Dawson in her film debut. She's one of the female characters who just
So
we
young.
follow a lot. So young. And then Chloe Sevigny is the other main female character, and we find out pretty early on that she has contracted AIDS, and probably from our main character who's going around trying to get all the virgins. And this movie, yeah, it will just punch you right in the gut, all the way through it, and then really at the
Yeah.
you just kind of, I wouldn't blame you if you're just sobbing uncontrollably into your beer or whatever you're drinking after the movie. Like, why is this happening?
This movie. This is one I stared at earlier, and funny enough, I have the Blu-ray version about 6 inches from my face right now.
Yeah,
Um, if somebody is out there and you've never seen a Larry Clark film, which honestly, probably most people nowadays, I think that there's probably more and more people that have never heard the name Larry Clark. But
right.
God, all of his films are subversive in wild ways, and that's what makes. I mean, really, any Larry Clark film would be a great pick for this tonight because
Yeah,
they all seem like if I told you the plot of any of them, you'd be like, "That sounds horrible. Why do I want to spend a night doing that?" But
yeah, yeah,
it's not that the plot is bad; it's that it's depressing, and there's so much about it that it hurts. But they're done realistically. They're done in a way that tells stories that other filmmakers wouldn't dare to tell, and it's fantastic.
yes, yes, it is.
That is a solid damn pick. Umbrella put out a Blu-ray in the last year, and
Blu-ray.
it's
That's
an
what I meant. Got it.
incredible release. I hope somebody does it in the US eventually and we get more eyes on it. Um, damn good movie. Damn good
Yeah,
movie.
yeah. I see Mysterious Skin in the chat. That's another great, but seriously gut punch of a movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Ken Park. Yeah, that's a rough one. Still, I believe still legally banned in the United States.
Yeah, I
Or
haven't seen
maybe it's not legally banned. I think somebody said I own the rights and I will never put it out in the US, something like that. Um, so the next thing I was trying to think of genres that I don't usually watch that much, and I really landed on sci-fi, and I don't know why. I like sci-fi films a lot, but um, I don't watch them all that often. I can't figure out why necessarily. But the one that I'm thinking, if you are trying to watch a decent sci-fi film and you have never really gone down that lane, and either that or you're trying to go from sci-fi to something else, I feel like there's not a better pick than Event Horizon.
Cool.
Um, God, we cover so many genres in this. It is filmed so well. I mean, you see again a little bit of like surrealism in the version of like almost like hell. I mean, there's
Mhm,
images here that will stick
mhm.
with you forever. This movie is full of people that you'll recognize. Only a couple big names, but a lot of the people in this, you go, I've seen him in 48 films. He's an incredible actor. Who is that? This movie, though, fucking terrifying. If you have never gotten into like sci-fi horror, this will wake you up. This movie is astonishing. This movie is one of the best made and most claustrophobic sci-fi films in a way that makes you just feel terrified of the other people around you.
Mhm.
And God, I love Event Horizon. If you've never seen it, there's a 4K that came out of this. Incredible movie. I don't know what else to say. Break some of your other bonds and get out there to see it if you've never seen
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. And it's a lot of sci-fi horror. It leans heavy into sci-fi with some horror elements, and I think this kind of goes the other way a little bit.
Hmm.
We're leaning heavily into the horror.
Hmm.
It just so happens to be in a spaceship.
Yep,
You know,
it's so good.
yes, it is. It is very good. You earned some brownie points with Sardis, I think I saw. So,
Yeah, Sardis is huge into sci-fi, so I'm glad he was into that.
okay. Um, the my next pick is we're going into Criterion, and
Nice.
we're actually going to talk Spike Lee. And I think this movie, even since it's been on Criterion, is one that people are turned off by just when they see the cover. and that is Bamboozled.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, people look at it and immediately, especially being that Criterion's rep is really old movies.
Yep.
It's like, this is something from the 30s or 40s that a bunch of white guys are in
Yep.
blackface. I don't want any parts of that. But that is absolutely not what this movie is. But there are characters who are in blackface a lot. It's a black TV exec played by Damon Wayans, and basically his shows are failing, and they're need him to come up with a hit. His boss is like, you have to come up with a hit or you're gonna be out of here. And he doesn't want to make a lot of the junk that he's seeing on other networks, but he says, you know what, we're gonna do this. It's just gonna be so outrageous, they'll have to fire me. But it turns into a hit, and this is about two black characters in blackface, two black guys who are in blackface. One played by Tommy Davidson from In Living Color, and the masterful tap dancer in the 80s and 90s, which fits perfectly with his character. And there is lots of commentary about the way black people have been portrayed in the media, on TV, in movies, and just general commentary about the merits of junk TV versus higher art, and which one wins out, which one the public is going to gravitate towards.
Yeah. If you're talking about watching films that are you stepping outside of your comfort zone, I imagine it doesn't get much more uncomfortable than being a giant white man in a Barnes and Noble during a sale, only buying the movie Bamboozled. Especially if the cashier has no idea what it is.
Right.
Bamboozled is amazing. Yeah, this is an incredible pick for this. I really wish more people had seen this, but for some reason it doesn't get the love of the Malcolm X, of even like Black Klansman, which is much more modern, but that gets so much more acclaim than this, and it's such a good movie.
Yeah, and I really think that just the use of blackface has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
People just automatically just kind of refrain from that.
Which, at the heart of it, being turned off by blackface is a good thing. Don't worry. But that's the point of the movie. And if you feel that way and you won't watch it because of that, you have been bamboozled.
Exactly. I couldn't put it better myself.
So my next one, I'm going to show up a poster here because again, buried in the closet of shame. But this movie is, the anti-romantic comedy. This is the anti-date night film. This is the film that if you want to put yourself in a situation where, make sure if you're in a current relationship, it is a very strong relationship so that you don't end up questioning things. But for those that have never seen it, please go and watch Blue Valentine with Ryan Gosling and Michelle Williams. This movie is a difficult watch. It is about a relationship of a married couple, and what is really great is you see the evolution of this relationship, and it does the whole separate timelines being cross-cut across different versions of different portions of the film, and you discuss all of the things that they over years are finding wrong in each other, are tired of, are in love with, but at the same time you get every step of the anguish that they're feeling. You get every moment of the sentimentality that they felt. You get every single decision that they've questioned in each other when they've looked at them and said, do I want to stay with this person? This movie is such a difficult watch, but honestly, it makes you appreciate so many things about relationships just by understanding, honestly, people fight. People find reasons to have difficult situations with their partner. People find, silly things to squabble about. But this movie is tough, and it is an outside of your comfort zone movie because a lot of movies are like this would have a nice happy roundup ending, and this is just a depressing fucking watch.
No, yes, it is. Man, I watched this movie, and my wife didn't watch it with me. Actually, I watched this alone. I remember watching it years ago, like not long after it hit DVD, at the time. And when it was over, I was just like, "Oh my god, why I feel so bad. Why? What did I do to deserve this?" And you're right though by that time we had been married married 12, 15 years somewhere in that. And you start thinking, I remember that day when she did this and I was really pissed off, and or I did something, she was really pissed off at me, or I remember when we were having an argument and we tried to fix it by doing something similar to what they're doing. And it just kind of takes you through the ringer. And by the time it ends, you feel bad for the people in the movie. you and if your relationship's in a good place, then you're like, man, thank God, we're still okay. And if it was in a bad place, I can't imagine. But thankfully I was in a good place at the time. But it is a tough watch.
I got a comment from Video Store Review that says, "Gotta love how Americans choose more American films to go out of their comfort zone." And I know that you don't mean that as a dig, but I want to say I talk about foreign films every single week, I feel like. So honestly, all 5 of mine were American by choice tonight. So I purposely was not going for foreign language titles because I don't think that should be out of somebody's comfort zone, to be honest.
Yeah, I had a couple in my hand and then I put them back. Maybe I'll mention them before we get off, but we did talk about subtitled films a little earlier. So, and I'm highly encouraging of anyone who wants to watch more foreign films. So
Please.
yeah, please do. There's so many great ones out there.
All right, my friend. I think you got 2 left.
2 left, and hey, it's American. But anyway, this movie we talk about, it's actually also a kind of tough romance kind of movie, or if romance is calling it might be pushing it a bit. It's a tough watch, but I think what keeps people away from this movie, even though it got some Oscar acclaim, actually, is that it is a movie featuring puppets, and it's not like a Team America kind of super duper silly. This is a movie about a guy going through a middle age crisis, and this movie is Anomalisa, and his marriage is kind of stale in his eyes, and he meets somebody who takes a liking to him, and he starts to have an affair, and we follow him through this whole thing. And like I said, the puppetry thing I think is really a big turn off for a lot of people, because as soon as they look at it and they're like, what is this? Okay, it's puppets, but it's not for kids. And that is a very American thing. Also, anything puppetry or animated has to be for kids, we think. And this is so not that. And then this is also like a pretty tough watch by the time you get to the end.
Yeah, this one, I hesitate to say even much about it because it's a very unique movie.
Yes.
Very unique movie. Yeah, if you've never seen it, please check it out. I think I don't remember the company, but I've got some fancy slipcase version from somewhere in Asia that put it out, I think. Love that movie. Funny enough, my last one that I picked is probably my most mainstream of the 5 that I picked tonight. And I really did this because I think that in another 10 years or so, we're going to look back on the 2010s and wonder how this got like a little bit of love, but is not being talked about as a full-blown masterpiece. And this one is just kind of, it gives you a lot of gross feelings as you watch this, and it's probably going to be super reflective. So I'm going to take the slipcover off. But I got to talk about Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
This movie is a very out of your comfort zone movie for so many different reasons. But the idea that somebody is this person that chases crime for this clout, and it comes across as like a thriller, as a horror film in certain scenes, as a high drama in certain scenes, and just like, I don't even know what, like, scuzzy. I just want to make up a word. Like, it feels scuzzy throughout the entire film.
Yeah.
And his acting, Jake Gyllenhaal in this movie is putting on one of his best performances, which is saying a lot considering he is easily one of the best modern actors, in my opinion. And the way that he plays with the dynamic as a whole of Los Angeles, which is what this whole movie is about. It's about capturing things on film that is exploitative, and other people are unable to grasp that when you're looking in and it looks and appears dirty. But the fact that LA actually does that on so many different levels, this movie is a masterpiece. And I think if you've never seen it, you should probably see it for 2 or 3 times at least, like in a week, and just understand everything that you've seen. It's an incredible movie.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I think it's one of those movies that, though, the people who've seen it love it. And I'm one of
Yeah.
those people. People who've seen it love the movie. They love Jake Gyllenhaal, what he did in the movie, and the writing of the movie. The writing is fantastic, because that really sets up Jake Gyllenhaal for that performance. And just scuzzy is a great word for it. And if you're looking for other Jake Gyllenhaal movies that can kind of fit in this category, of course, Donnie Darko. But I think that's one that's such a big cult following that everybody's, not everybody, but a lot of people have seen it. And then another one is Enemy. Enemy,
I was going to go with that and Prisoners. Like
Prisoners. Yeah,
both of
yeah,
those from Denis Villeneuve, both of them feel very like in line with what this character perhaps evolved from.
right, right. Only thing about Prisoners why I wouldn't pick it, because it's got a lot of mainstream.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's a bit of an odd, like subversive third act, but it's just a very mainstream drama.
right, right. I did see. Let me go back up. I saw something in the comments where someone was talking. Oh, Good Night, Mommy. There it was.
Yeah.
That is the original, not the American remake, the original
Yep.
German film. Great horror movie.
Super unnerving. Very, very much agree.
Yes.
And then I think, yeah, K-Man says, "Love your steelbook." Let me see how reflective it is now that I'm revealing it. The Mondo slipcover. It's got the TV recording screen over it, which I think it just gives it that much more power. Love this movie, and yeah, incredible release.
All right. So for my last pick, I'm gonna cheat, and I've got 3 movies in my hand, and there's actually a 4th that we could add to this. And this is where I go bad movie. And it's out of people's comfort zones if you did not grow up watching blaxploitation movies. If you did, you've probably seen this movie. If you haven't, you may know of one of these movies because of Eddie Murphy recently did the movie called Dolomite Is My Name. So I have here Dolomite, Human Tornado, Disco Godfather. The 4th movie is called Petey Wheatstraw, which is also starring Rudy Ray Moore, the man that Eddie Murphy played in Dolomite Is My Name. That movie's all about the making of Dolomite. And to say it's a bad movie, it's putting it mildly. It's like really bad as far as how it's made, but it's just so much fun. You can feel there's a charm to it, and put it that way. There's a charm to it. And if you're anybody out there seen Black Dynamite, you know the spoof of parody of blaxploitation movies. There are scenes where the boom mic drops into the screen, into view, and characters are kind of looking up at it. Well, the boom mic is really visible in Dolomite several times, and he's having fight scenes, and he'll throw a punch or a kick, and it misses a guy by 1.5 feet, and all the things that they talk about in Dolomite's My Name, they actually happen in these movies. And again, it helps to appreciate good filmmaking on top of just being a blast and getting a part of movie history also.
Yeah. I believe all 4 of the Vinegar Syndrome Blu-rays for those are all out of print now, which sucks because honestly, who's going to put those out now?
Right.
Probably nobody else, sadly. But yeah, if you find them for a good rate, this is a great set of 4 films to get. What is your favorite out of those 4?
Probably either Dolomite or the Human Tornado. But on any given day, any of them could be, because they're just so outlandish. that you kind of glom onto one thing, and it's like, okay, that makes it better than the other movies.
Right.
And it's just crazy. For instance, in the Human Tornado, the first thing that pops in my head is there's an early scene where our main character, Rudy Ray Moore, playing Dolomite, he's it's a kind of a sequel, but happens to be in bed with the sheriff's wife. And the sheriff comes in. Now, mind you, it's also a full-fledged party going on outside the bedroom. Like, they're in the bedroom, and then there's a party in the house. And the sheriff comes in there, and he jumps out the window naked, and he's running down this super steep hill, and he kind of jumps down and rolls down and gets in the car, and then he himself comes on in voiceover and says, "Let's watch this shit again," and or something like that. And they like rewind it, and they show it again. And it's just one of those things that stick out that you just wouldn't do in a normal quote unquote.
Yeah. What is a normal film?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there. If you're uncomfortable with it, there is a lot of Rudy Ray Moore ass in these movies.
Yes, and he is not winning any bodybuilding contests.
No, not really. Yeah, I think PD Wheatstraw would be my favorite, but it might just be when I saw it and it just hit me on that perfect night. But God, these are so much fun. And if you've seen Dolomite Is My Name, which I'm still surprised that so many people watched that, not knowing anything about what even the word Dolomite meant when that came out.
Right.
I think so many people were just stoked to see Eddie Murphy doing something again, which is great. He was amazing in it. But man, if you've never checked these out, please try to find them. These are astonishing, like must-watch films. And like Dell said, if you've never been into blaxploitation, these are a very fun entry point. And if that's you getting out of your comfort zone, see it as an entry point and follow through with some of the other big genre titles from that, because God, blaxploitation, there's a lot of different alleys you can go down through those.
Oh, there's you can go down any genre really,
Yeah.
and find blaxploitation, or at least black movies made in the 70s. And excuse me. And with Dolomite Is My Name, I think a lot of it rode the with Eddie Murphy being back, a lot of people wanted to see that. And then there was the movie About the Room. I'm drawing a blank on the title, that Dave Franco made, the movie about the making of The Room. So it kind of has that similar vibe to it. And that's another movie where I think a lot of people had never seen The Room, or
Same.
even or go back a little further, Ed Wood, but a lot of people had never seen Plan 9 from Outer Space. So it's like, hey, here's a star, big budget movie. Let's go see what this is about. And, oh, they're talking about this really bad movie. That's funny, but let's move on. So I think in all of those cases, not just Dolomite, but with Plan 9 from Outer Space and
Oh yeah,
Room, you just got to experience it.
The Disaster Artist. That's
Thank
the name
you.
of.
Thank you. That's the name of it.
I couldn't think of it either. I was sitting there racking my brain for so long. Gosh, let's see. David wants to know, why did VS drop the license? Did they get too expensive? Seems like VS staples. I highly doubt they got too expensive. I don't think the Rudy Ray Moore group is charging millions of dollars for license to those films. Honestly, they probably just weren't selling as much. They probably didn't.
No, I don't think. I wouldn't think so.
You don't think people are lining up to buy these still?
No. It's weird. I think, well, not weird, but with Rudy Ray Moore and a lot of blaxploitation, I think the people who are really into those movies are not necessarily collectors. So I don't know how well they sell. Like, even for the biggest in blaxploitation, Pam Grier, for instance, is one of the biggest people to come out of blaxploitation. A lot of her movies, the ones that have been released on Blu-ray, I have a couple of them, but they're all overseas releases.
Yep.
It's because they don't sell that much here.
Sad but true. And even then, Vinegar Syndrome has probably sold literally thousands of copies of each of those, but the thousands is probably only 3,000 or 4,000, and
Right.
those were first released 20 2015, 2016, something like that. It's been a long time, and it could just be they signed a license and it expired, and they didn't have a chance to re-sign it. That's not always how it works, sadly. They're great titles, and people should definitely check them out.
I'm sorry, but I can't find the movie I was looking for. I was looking for one because the foreign comment kind of bothered me a little bit, or the American comment, I should say.
Oh, interesting. He did say afterwards that he was being facetious.
I know, but here is a movie that I had put back for some reason. And shout out to Miranda's Movie Madness. She actually just watched this recently. But this movie is called Maria Full of Grace. For people who have not seen it, she's a young girl. She's a Colombian girl. She's living in Colombia, and hard times, and she winds up becoming a drug mule. And part of that is having to swallow bags of heroin and transport it into the US. And it is a harrowing tale. So if you're looking for a foreign language movie, that's out of your comfort zone, this is one to check out.
I've not seen it, but that sounds incredible. And I think I've had somebody tell me about that one before, but gosh, not quite as stark as that description there. I mean, honestly, anything that's not super mainstream box office busting title, we could have recommended tonight and just said it's an uncommon title. But in all reality, the picks for tonight were to genuinely challenge the way that you think about some of these films. And when you're watching Dolomite, it can be a challenge for a lot of people to not just immediately say he can't act well. Why am I watching this?
Right.
Or not to be watching Event Horizon and go, there's not a happy ending in this, or there's this isn't like a normal sci-fi movie. Why am I watching this? Nightcrawler, to say he's an unlikable protagonist. Why should I keep watching this movie? Because he's a terrible person. There's so much about these that make you challenge the way you think about films, and that is the overall point. And especially, I mean, look at Lakeith Stanfield's character in the first film that we talked about. Like, there's so much you could question why you're even watching some of these movies, and that's why we chose them.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if you're not quite ready to go down, those paths, if you're not ready to just see something kind of crazy or super duper depressing, your comfort zone, of course, is just what you're comfortable watching. So if you're a person who you say, you know what, I don't like Westerns, watch some Westerns.
Yeah.
I don't like horror, watch some horror. I don't like sports movies. I hear that a lot. Watch some sports movies. You'll find the same story beats across genres for the most part. You'll find the same story beats. And the best movies are not about the genre that they're in. They're about the people in the movie. And if you can latch on to the people in the movie, it really doesn't matter what genre it's in. So, I'm not a person who is huge on Westerns, but I've got about probably 20 Westerns that I love. And it's not because, this Western, this has better gunfights than that one. For the most part, that's not it. It's, you know what, this character I can either relate to or I can empathize with, and it's because of the skill of the storytelling.
I would also like to point out every genre as a whole has masterpieces, and most of those masterpieces are known as masterpieces for a reason. And if you see yourself saying, I hate Westerns, I hate modern films, I hate black and white films, I hate musicals, find a list of not even a list. Go find 10 lists that say these are the top 5 in that genre, and the one film that's on every one of those lists, go watch it tonight. Find a reason to see why the rest of the world appreciates it and you don't like the genre, and you'll find something to love in it.
Yeah. The one caveat to all of that, though, is when you do press play on however you watch it, have an open mind. Don't just be like, well, I hate musicals, but Ryan said I should watch this musical. And that's not the right mindset to go into the film.
Right. Oh, yeah, there's a lot to, don't go into it, like, resenting it before it starts. That's
Right,
the biggest thing.
right.
Well, I think we are at that point, Dell. This has been freaking amazing. You've been an incredible guest. Why don't you tell everybody what you got coming up and, again, just another highlight for your channel.
All right. I will be next week on next Tuesday afternoon. Actually, I will be on Happy Hour with Nerdy Film Girl Tracy. So I'll be on her show next Tuesday. That's the next big thing I have coming up. Um, I'll have some videos in between there. I saw the Marvels. I talked about that earlier. So I'll do an MCU ranking video. I saw The Killer. So I'll probably do a David Fincher ranking video. That's probably in the works also.
Nice.
So look out for those. Movie Swap, like I said, is my big show, but I don't have another one planned until December 7th. I'm going to have the monkey back on, and we're going to talk some holiday movies. And sometime in the new year, because I'm going to really slow down near the holidays. So sometime early in the new year, I hope to get my host tonight. I hope to get him on the show.
I would love to, and we will happily discuss that movie we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
It is a busy time for a lot of these companies. It is a busy time for a lot of us, and in that, you can always count on this community. And if you want more of this community, please check out the Patreon in the description below. We've got a Discord. If you are feeling alone in your film, you don't know people that are into physical media or movies like you, and you just want people to talk to, it's an astonishing world when you find out there are other people like you that can just sit and talk about this stuff all day, and it makes all of this so much more fun. Please continue to check these out. Follow Dell. He's an incredible creator, has just amazing thoughts on some of these movies, and will make you question why you were watching some of these. Thank you all for hanging out tonight. Dell, this has been just perfection. Hopefully we can do this again.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Thanks, sir. We'll see you all next Thursday. And like I said, next Monday, come out to the channel and you will find an interview with Scarecrow video. It's a pretty fun one. And we'll see you next week.
All right.
Thank you for watching The Disconnected. On the way out, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, that you've liked the video, and that you've copied the link to be able to share it with someone else that may appreciate this.